me just tell you, if you're offended by that because you're 26 and you live in your mommy's basement, good, I'm talking to you. My goal here is to piss you off. Be a man. But no one does that accidentally. No one wins the Super Bowl on accident. It's an intentional act.
Dave Ramsey, the steward of financial wisdom, steps into the spotlight, brandishing the torch of guidance for the ambitious youth seeking the path to affluence.
There is something that has risen up in the 20s, the 20-year-olds, 20 to 30-year-olds, even 20 to 35-year-olds right now, that we're seeing almost on a moment-by-moment basis in all of our interactions with you guys out there, through broadcasting and through all the other ways we interact with you. You're not a bad person automatically if you're wealthy. And so one thing you do want to do is break that out of your head. And so, because if you're other-centered, you can do a lot of wonderful things with money, like your mom did, okay? Mm-hmm. She used money to do this wonderful thing for you, and you'll be able to do that yourself many times over. The first thing is, I don't do single stocks. I know a lot about them. I buy investments. I've got hundreds of millions of dollars of investments, and but I don't buy single stocks because I don't like the risk associated with that. An eagle that doesn't leave the nest is what's known as a turkey. You are not blessing your children by supporting them when they're over 25 years old. Now, could mom and dad be a safety net? Yes. But a hammock is ridiculous. The big deal here is sometimes some of our plans get derailed, and I always want, it's more important for you, especially sharp and as much of an ambition and as much of a go-getter as you are, to complete school and to complete it debt-free. That is more valuable than any amount of money you will ever make on a mutual fund in terms of the actual math. So, with rare exceptions, if you never buy a piece of real estate before you're 25 years old, it's not the end of the world, including your home.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just move out and rent a little apartment and get your life started.
With a sagacious demeanor, he unveils the blueprint to prosperity, sharing the pearls of fiscal prudence that could transform dreams into glittering coins.
The positive is there's this tremendous, that this generation, whatever we're calling these 20-somethings, has this tremendous entrepreneurial zeal and drive. Mm-hmm. And this sense to be independent. And it's not greed-driven. It's initiative. Mm-hmm. It's very positive.
It really is.
It's a wonderful character attribute. You've got that. That's how you got these rental properties. And that drive is causing these 20-somethings to do two things, and oftentimes poorly, because they're doing them too quickly. I did this in my 20s, but I'm a boomer, which now is a put down, but used to be just a demographic. Mm-hmm. But now I've got old man house shoes, so there you go. I'll tell you the biggest thing, a couple things. Number one is to be doing what you're doing now, gather knowledge, be very intentional with your money. Most people just kind of wander along and then wonder what happened. And if you'll just be very intentional, then that will lead you to doing a budget. That will lead you to living on less than you make. That will lead you to generosity. That will lead you to avoiding debt. That will lead you to investing. And those are the keys to building wealth. But no one does that accidentally. No one wins the Super Bowl on accident. It's an intentional act. And so just by asking the question, you've started that process of being intentional. When you get your income up to where you can, I don't want you 28 years old in your mother's basement, dude. Get out and get going. You do not need to start your Roth IRAs yet. You need to pile up money to make the transition out of your household and complete your studies and complete your career. Get your career going. Then you need to start, and I would start with a Roth IRA in good growth stock mutual funds. I love that you're asking the question, but you're a little bit early in your process, not in your age, but in your process. You're in the middle of transitional things that need to happen before you start investing.
His words cascade like a fountain of financial acumen, showering the eager minds with the essence of discipline and sound advice, urging them to steer clear of the seductive whirlpools of financial folly.
When they have to buy their own food and cook it or go to a restaurant and get some, it's good for them. When they have to pay their own electric bill, it is good for them. When they have to pay their own freaking rent, it is good for them. Now, I'm not talking about someone being homeless or having a health problem or coming out on a divorce and they need to come home and heal for a little while. That's a safety net, and all of that is fine. I would never tell you to not love your children and care for them. I care for my children. If one of my children has a serious problem, I've got a big old house, they can come there for a while. But I do not want to be their serious problem. I want to be the solution to their serious problem, which is a safety net, not a hammock. You are being enablers. And the problem is you have 1/3 of the people in their 20s that are emotionally stunted, is what we're saying. They have not developed into full-grown emotional adults. And let me just tell you, if you're offended by that because you're 26 and you live in your mommy's basement, good, I'm talking to you. My goal here is to piss you off. Be a man. Be a woman. Grow a backbone. Walk out there and be somebody. It's good for you. You will have dignity that you do not have in mommy's basement. Fold your own freaking underwear or don't, but it's your underwear. Your mommy shouldn't be washing it when you're freaking 27 years old. You will be more valuable by many times more than this money will make in a mutual fund. So the investment is my secondary concern. My primary concern is you, and making sure that if something blew up over there with your dad or whatever, then you can still finish school. And if it doesn't, if the plan goes exactly as you got it laid out, you're still going to have a pile of money for, to get into your first job and your first house and that kind of.
Within this council unfolds a tapestry of fiscal sagacity, inviting all to learn the art of stewardship and emphasizing that wealth is the offspring of knowledge and diligence.
This wonderful zeal, this wonderful entrepreneurial zeal is causing these 20-somethings to buy real estate. So I got to buy real estate. I'm going to get rich in real estate. I'm going to get rich in real estate. Man, when I was in my 20s is when infomercials started.
Oh.
That was the beginning of infomercials.
Oh, yeah. So
I'm going to get rich in real estate. I'm going to get rich in real estate. And I grew up in the real estate business, and so I went straight into I'm going to get rich in real estate. And I did. I became a millionaire by the time I was 26. And it's driving this Bitcoin craze. It's driving this GameStop craze.
Yes.
The same zeal is driving people to do these things and to get out there and I'm going to do something. I'm going to get something. And it's not greed. It's the spirit on it. My discernment says it's not greed. It is initiative. It's a positive ambition. But what happened with me was I bought real estate that I couldn't afford. I leveraged it. I used totally borrowed money, and I ended up with $4 million worth of real estate that I owed $3 million on. So I had $1 million net worth, but it wasn't cash flowing, and I was flipping it, and it was barely cash flowing, like his is barely cash flowing. This is why I know this math, because I lived it.
Right.
Because I did the same thing, only I did it with more zeros on the end. It wasn't 400,000, it's 4 million. And it took me down because the bank got sold and called our notes, and then I didn't have any cash. I was not in it. I had all these assets, but there was no cash. And when you do that with real estate is when you're going to go broke, not when you're going to make a fortune in real estate.
Right.
And so real estate that does not have margin is not a blessing, it's a liability. And investing in things that don't have margin or that are a high-risk gamble play is a misuse of your entrepreneurial ambitious zeal. Get rich quick just does not work, statistically. It's so rare. And the interesting thing is those that do it very seldom keep it. And so because they didn't build the infrastructure in their character to carry it. And
I like that.
It fritters away. You build the muscles by increment, by struggle after struggle after struggle, because a muscle is built by tearing. A muscle is built by destruction, by pain. It is not built by comfort. And so that gradual, over a 10, 12, 15-year period of staying out of debt, living on less than you make, being intentional, doing some things that your friends don't do, not doing a bunch of things your friends do, and that kind of a thing. You have a life, but you're just very smart and wise about it over a period of time. That is how wealth is built. I talked to a young man this morning, 35 years old, came up to me and whispered, he said, I'm an everyday millionaire.
Wow.
And works on our team.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Walked up to me after staff meeting and said, I'm an everyday millionaire. 30. I said, how old are you? 35. And he said, I started working your plan 12 years ago, just out of college. He said, we've always lived exactly what we teach here, to the dime, to the penny, intentional. And he makes good money, but he does, he didn't get paid $1 million a year. I'll tell you that.
Make millionaire money, right?
No, he didn't make millionaire money, but he is.
Right.
Because he just that steady. The tortoise wins the race, not the hare.
The spotlight narrows on Dave Ramsey, a sage of fiscal intelligence, beckoning the aspiring millionaires to heed his counsel and illuminating the path toward financial enlightenment.
You don't like millennials. I love millennials. I've got a whole bunch of 24 to 29-year-olds working here that are absolutely excellent young people. Absolute incredible. Some of the best workforce I've ever seen in my life are the millennials. The good ones. The bad ones, you can't pry the participation trophy out of their little fingers. And they're sitting around waiting on someone to affirm them. Well, you don't get affirmed when you don't do nothing. There's a reason we respect the winner and give them a trophy, is because they did something the loser didn't do. I've won some, I've lost some. You've won some, you've lost some. Get up off your butt and get out of mommy's basement. Come on, dads. Where are you? I'm not suggesting you need to be mean to your children, unkind to your children, nasty with your children, or anything like that. But I'm just telling you, you're a straight up codependent enabler when you have a 27-year-old living in your basement because he won't go get a job in an economy that's white hot, and there's a labor shortage in most areas right now. You can get construction work if you can walk out the back door. I wouldn't put you in the rental business while you're making $30,000 a year and trying to go through school. I don't mind you getting there, and you are an overachiever. You're an incredible young man, but let's not get confused about what got us here. It wasn't real estate. I love real estate, and I want you to own some real estate someday. I thought you were buying this house to move into, so that might have changed the answer, but I don't think it does. I think you're going to continue to pile up money, and you go ahead and get in school and get your butt in gear and get finished. And when you graduate and you leave home and you start your own life and you have a pile of cash, pay cash for your first home that you're going to live in, then start talking about buying rental property that you pay cash for. But I wouldn't get this out of order. I wouldn't get it backwards. And so I love the zeal. What I want to do is channel it with some wisdom.
And a process.
Some wisdom.
Yes.
And that is slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
And pay cash, and don't invest everything you have in super high risk crap. I know there's stories of people making money in Bitcoin. I know there's stories of people making money with GameStop. We talked to one here on the air the other day. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I know stories of people made money at the roulette wheel too.
Yeah, that's right.
I know people that made money on Wheel of Fortune. But that doesn't mean, or Jeopardy. I have personal friends that won enough, and they won $50,000 or something. But they didn't change their career to be game show operators.
Right.
And they didn't put everything they had, that didn't push all their chips to the center of the table on one hand of cards.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing when we go into highly leveraged real estate, into businesses with no margin or high risk investment plays, and we act like it's a freaking game.
Right.
Because we put all the chips in the center of the table. Now, if you got a small percentage of your chips and you're going to lose those and it doesn't give you, that's different. I don't even recommend that, but I'm not going to make fun of you for that.
In this age of financial challenges, Dave Ramsey stands as a guide, encouraging the youth to embrace the principles of fiscal prudence and navigate the precarious journey towards prosperity.
Being a renter for 15 or 20 years is a bad idea. Being a renter for 36 months, while you're going through some transitional periods in your life, like leaving home for the first time, those kinds of things, is not dumb at all.
Yeah.
It's not dumb at all. Renters don't go to hell. It's not a salvation issue. Okay? I mean, you're not like done something completely stupid where you've ruined your whole life because you're a renter for a little while. I've rented, and I own a bunch of real estate, and I believe in real estate, and I want you to get some real estate. But real estate purchases as an investment is very unwise, and will set you back in your whole wealth building process. It will set you back, not push you forward, if you do it before you've done some of these other things. And so it is a late in the game, late in the baby steps idea that you invest in real estate. Because otherwise, real estate will kick you in the teeth and will move you backwards in your wealth building. And so, no, you don't need to buy a rental house when you don't have a house that's paid for that you live in. No, you don't need to buy a rental house until you have graduated from college. No, you don't need to buy a rental house until you can pay cash for it. No, you don't need to buy a rental house until you're out of debt, own a home, have an emergency fund in place, and have paid off your home. No, you don't need to buy a rental house before you're 25 unless you're in a very, very unusual situation.